Hey everyone, my name is Kira, and I did my 62 project on dough. The reason why I decided to choose this topic was I work in the Child Study Center, and my toddlers are very hands-on always. So they're always exploring new materials and figuring out things work. And Play-Doh was a really big hit in our room, so I came up with the idea, I wonder if we can make different types of dough. And this is how I made this project. I'm sorry the angle is not all that good. As I get into each section, I'll pull the camera forward so you can actually see everything that is on my board. So to start off, I introduced my topic with a circle time activity. Going into the narrative, I first gathered all the children using something that we call a brain smart way in our center, which it's connecting the children's learning to physical movement. So we do the if you're ready, then clap your hands. And then we bring all the children into a small group room and they find a seat on this circle carpet, as you can lightly see in these pictures. And we do a good morning song, greeting all the children, saying who came to school today. And then we do an I love you ritual, which is reminding all the children that they're safe and we keep them safe, and their job is to help keep their bodies safe when they're at school. And then I introduced the topic, which is dough. And my essential question is, what do you know about dough? And I brought a big piece of paper to group time and wrote out the words, what do you know about dough, with a big circle. So each of the children got to see what all the materials looked like. I brought materials such as oven mitts, bowls, whisks, flour to group time, so all the children got to explore different ways of using the material. And I asked them questions such as, what do we need to make dough? A lot of the children were very hesitant and they had their thinking faces on for a while, which is typical. But then they came up with things of, oh, I need flour, we need salt, sugar. They made the observations of flour is soft. And I make cookies with mom. When I asked, what type of dough do you like to make? And then I asked them another essential question of, wonder what we can make with dough. And we came up with a couple of different options. We came up with Play-Doh, we came up with cookie dough, we came up with tortillas. They wondered if they can make corn into a dough, and I said, I wonder too. And then after we made our beautiful web, I dismissed the children by having them put back the materials, such as their whisks and rolling pins and the flour itself. And we moved out to outdoor play. And these are a glimpse into my wheels. So the anti-bias wheel, key touching points is, can old people bake? Do grandmas only make cookies? Can children bake? And if they can they bake thoroughly, knowing that the oven is hot and they can't see directly over the counter? So how do we keep our bodies safe? We went into culture and lifestyle, saying, can we try different foods from different cultures? And we also went into gender. Are bakers only women? Do men only barbecue? Do they also bake? And can anyone own their own bakery? And then when you come across to my curriculum wheel, I have a lot of neat information, such as for the science area, the science of yeast and how that works versus hot versus cold, and the observation of raw versus cooked, what are the differences. Pretend play, we had a lot of aprons and chef's hats and the use of the oven and muffin tins in order to really make that come alive. We also had books such as Burroughs Tortillas. We read that a lot this semester, so it got the children into thinking, what types of other doughs do we have in different cultures? And I used a lot of vocabulary like stirring and mixing and combining. And that is only a few elements of this very put together wheel. So my next category was language. And this was the making Play-Doh activity. My essential question was, I wonder how you'll combine the colors and what will you make with your dough. So first I instructed the children to come into a small group area and sit in a circle. And I passed out the colorful trays for my activity. And I revealed to them that I have something in a bag to share with them. I pulled out the bag and I asked them, a plastic bag covered with a doughy substance, and I asked them, what is this? And the children eagerly responded, Play-Doh. They were very excited. And each child got their own bag full of Play-Doh. And I instructed them to take their Play-Doh out of the bag. And then I revealed that I had watercolors. I had 4 different colors with me. I had pink, green, blue, and red. And I asked each of the children, I wonder how we'll use these colors to make their dough. I asked them which ones they'd like to use. Some used a little, some used a lot. And I asked them, I wonder how you'll combine or mix your colors with the Play-Doh. So I introduced combined, mix, incorporate, and I provided them rolling pins to help mix their dough. And they're also given time to come up with their own color combinations. Some friends mixed with their hands, some friends pounded in their color, some friends mixed with the rolling pin. So they found different ways to mix their dough, and I asked them to tell me about their work and how they combined the colors. Some people said rolling pin, some people used their hands, and after a lot of color, I asked them, I wonder what you made, tell me about their work. And in the pictures, you can see I'm holding up the rolling pin, showing the children different ways to mix. And here are a couple of my friends mixing in their dough. And when I asked them what they made, a friend said, I made Mommy. And one said, I made Spider-Man with his blue and red Play-Doh. Moving on to the next category of art, my essential question is, I wonder what you'll create with your dough. And we made salt dough ornaments. So at the art table in my room, I placed salt dough on a couple of trays and tools such as cookie cutters, rolling pins, and other things to clean up with their hands. And I invited them to come up to see what we were doing. And I asked the children, I wonder what we're going to make with this dough. And I waited for their feedback and responses. Some said Play-Doh, some said we're going to make snowmen. And I explained to them that we're making ornaments out of salt dough. All the children got a chance to explore the dough. Some smelled it. Some said, this smells like Play-Doh. And each child got the chance to explore the materials and what they wanted to make out of it. And I asked them, I wonder what you're creating with the dough. They each got the chance to create with their hands what they wanted to make. And then when they were done, they placed them on a little baking tray. There's some figures in this picture right here. And one child told me, I made a snake with a cake. And then after they were all done, a child reminded me, this goes in the oven. And we baked it, and after they colored them their own ways. It's kind of hard to see in this video, but they made a green and blue, they made a couple red, and they made a pink one. So that was it. The next category was math, and my essential question was, I wonder if we could create our own recipe, and which measurements will we use? And this was a create your own cookie recipe activity. So first, I had the children sit down at a small group table, and I provided them with trays, whisks, and rolling pins for the activity. And I introduced it by asking the children, what is a recipe? And I looked for quiet hands, and they gave me some feedback. They said, I don't know what a recipe is. And then I introduced each ingredient that we would be using. So I showed them flour and sugar and butter, and they had the chance to explore the activity. They wanted to get their hands on, ready to go. And then I asked them, I wonder if we can make a recipe out of all these ingredients. Their faces lit up and shook their heads. And I asked them, I wonder how much of each ingredient we should add. Demonstrating on my fingers, I ended up counting down from 5 to 1. I had them signal me to stop them as a group, and we added each ingredient into a bowl with every child had a chance to mix. So the recipe that we came up with for this activity was 3 cups of flour, 4 cups of sugar, and a whole stick of butter. And then we mixed. Once it looked like cookie dough, all the children got a chance to roll it out on their trays and make their own cookie using rolling pins. The dough, some feedback I got from this activity was the dough was rather sticky, but then the cookies went in the oven, they came out, and the children really enjoyed them. They even got a chance to taste them. And then for my last activity was the science category, and my essential question was, I wonder what makes dough rise. And this activity was bread in a bag. So I set up a small group activity table, and I left it an open activity for any child to join. The children were invited to the table with trays and manipulative tools such as cutters and rolling pins and trays, and I gave each of the children their own bag containing yeast, flour, sugar, and water. That bloomed over a couple hours, and when I tell you bloomed, it became almost like a balloon. That's how full it was. So I sat with the children, hold it up in an inflated bag of dough, and I responded, I wonder what this is. Some children responded with dough, some responded with a balloon, and I told them we were making bread in a bag, and I asked them, I wonder why the bread appears like this. And I talked to them about yeast and what the effects of it when it's mixed with sugar, flour, and water. And I told them that it was an anti-fungi. I told them it was a fungi and that it was a living thing, and it makes our dough look full. And I instructed each children to take their dough out of their bags, and with my help, since it was very sticky, put it on their individual trays. The children added more flour, and some choosing to mix it in the plastic bag on the tray. And I gave the children time to explore the dough, cutting, kneading, and rolling their creations out on the tray, and their bread was placed on a baking sheet. So this was the before, and it was placed on the baking sheet for about 15 minutes. It went in the oven, and then this is what it looked like after. And this is raw versus cooked. I wonder what changed. The children had plenty of observations. They wondered why it was brown, it got so big, it smelled different. It was a very hands-on activity. Overall, all the children remained engaged, and this was a very hands-on and creative activity, not only for them, but for myself, learning how to navigate education, and it was a learning experience to better myself for future projects with children. Overall, I had a very fun experience doing this, and I would do it again.